The aroma of morning coffee still hung in the air when Claire touched the shoulder of Lachlan, who was furiously typing on his laptop. The home office smelled of imported leather furniture and fine wood shelves. But today, there was an electric tension she couldn't decipher. "Lachlan!" Her voice trembled slightly. Her hands were cold, clutching a small rectangular object, and her heart pounded against her ribs like a desperate bird trying to escape a cage. He looked up, irritated by the interruption. His face, always so controlled, was now creased with an impatience she knew well. His fingers drummed a dry, rhythmic beat on the mahogany desk. "What is it? I'm in the middle of an important video conference." Claire took a deep breath, tasting the metallic flavor of nervousness in her mouth. The silky fabric of her blouse rustled against her skin as she approached, her heels echoing on the marble floor like the beat of a frantic metronome. "I need to show you something." She held out the pregnancy test, her hands trembling imperceptibly. Lachlan's gaze fixed on the object, and she could see the exact moment he understood. The blood drained from his face, leaving him as pale as paper. His breathing changed, becoming quick and shallow. "No!" The word was a harsh whisper. "This can't be happening now." "Lachlan, I know we didn't plan this, but—" Claire tried to touch his arm, but he recoiled abruptly, the leather chair groaning with his sudden movement. "We didn't plan this?" He stood up abruptly, his imposing 6-foot height making her feel even smaller. "Claire, do you have any idea what this means? My company is in the process of a merger with a German multinational. I can't have a personal scandal right now." The woody scent of his aftershave, which once soothed her, now felt suffocating. Claire's stomach turned. She didn't know if it was from morning sickness or the cruelty of his words. "Scandal!" Her voice came out higher than normal. "We're talking about our child, Lachlan. Child!" He spat the word as if it were poison. "A complication I can't afford to have. You know my family, how the business world is. I'm single in everyone's eyes, and I need to stay that way until this deal is closed." Tears burned the corners of Claire's eyes. She could taste their saltiness before they even fell. The fabric of the curtain in the background swayed gently with the air conditioning, casting dancing shadows on the wall. "You're asking me to—" She couldn't finish the sentence. "I'm asking you to handle this discreetly." Lachlan sat back down, his fingers already resuming typing, as if nothing had happened. "I know a very discreet private clinic. We can schedule it for next week." The sound of the laptop keys echoed in the heavy silence. Claire felt the floor shift beneath her feet, as if she were on a ship in a stormy sea. "Lachlan, look at me!" He didn't lift his eyes from the screen. "Lachlan!" This time she screamed, and he finally looked at her, his dark eyes as cold as ice. "What do you want me to say, Claire? That I'm going to drop everything, disappoint hundreds of employees who depend on me, and destroy years of work because of a mistake? A mistake?" The word hit her like a punch to the gut. "Is that what you see our baby as?" "I see reality." He got up again, walking to the window. His tense back under the Italian dress shirt drew a rigid figure against the sunlight. "I have responsibilities, commitments. I can't be a father right now." Claire wiped her tears with the back of her hand, the rough movement against her sensitive skin. The ring Lachlan had given her for her birthday, a promise that they would one day get married, felt like lead on her finger. "And what if I don't do it? What if I decide to have this baby?" Lachlan turned slowly, and the expression on his face chilled Claire's blood. It was the same cold, calculated look she had seen him use in business meetings to intimidate opponents. "Then you'll do it alone." The silence that followed was broken only by the ticking of the Swiss clock on the wall. Claire felt as if the air had been sucked out of the room. Her legs trembled, and she leaned on the desk to keep from falling. "You can't be serious. I'm being very clear." Lachlan adjusted his shirt cuffs, a gesture she knew he made to end a conversation. "If you want to stay with me, get that child out of your life. If you don't, well, it was good while it lasted." His words cut deeper than any knife. Claire felt her heart shatter into a million fragments, each one piercing her lungs and making it hard to breathe. She looked around the office, the photos of them together on the shelf, her coffee mug next to his computer, the book she had lent him. Everything seemed to belong to another life, another person. "All right." Her voice came out surprisingly calm. "You've made your choice." Claire walked to the door, each step echoing in the deadly silence. When she reached the doorway, she turned one last time. Lachlan had returned to his laptop, his hands typing frantically as if she had already disappeared from his life. "Lachlan." He didn't look up. "Don't ever look for me again." This time he lifted his eyes, and for a second, she thought she saw something different in his expression. Regret? Fear? But it was just a flash, quickly replaced by the usual cold mask. Claire left the office, walked up the marble stairs for the last time, and went to the bedroom they had shared for 2 years. His cologne clung to the Egyptian cotton sheets, a fragrance that now made her nauseous. She grabbed a suitcase and began pulling her clothes from the closet. Every piece held a memory. The blue dress from the first time he took her to meet an important client. The red lingerie she had bought to surprise him on his birthday. The silk pajamas they wore on lazy Sunday mornings. As she folded her clothes, a tear fell on the blue dress, creating a dark stain. Claire wiped it away quickly and continued packing. 40 minutes later, she went downstairs carrying 2 suitcases. Lachlan hadn't left the office. The sound of his typing continued to echo down the hallway, relentless as a machine. At the front door, Claire paused and looked back one last time. The house she had considered her home for so long now seemed like a mausoleum of marble and glass. Cold, empty. Just like the man who inhabited it, she put the suitcases in her car, her hands trembling as she held the keys. The engine started with a soft rumble, and she drove slowly down the tree-lined driveway leading to the main gate. In the rearview mirror, she watched the house shrink until it disappeared completely. Only then did she allow the tears to fall freely, wetting her face and dripping onto the leather steering wheel. "If to him I was a weakness," she murmured, a hand instinctively going to her still flat belly. "To my baby, I will be a strength." The city stretched out ahead, full of possibilities and challenges. Claire drove toward the future, leaving behind the man who had chosen business over love, money over family. She didn't know yet how she would do it, but one thing was clear. She would raise her child alone, with dignity and pride. And Lachlan Edwards would discover too late what he had lost by letting her go. The sweet aroma of fresh strawberries filled the small kitchen as Claire cut the fruit into tiny pieces. The afternoon sun filtered through the white linen curtains, creating a golden mosaic on the rustic wooden table. At 2 years old, Lily swung her legs in her high chair, her dark eyes shining with anticipation. "Mommy Mango," the little voice echoed through the cozy kitchen, making Claire smile. The girl's rosy cheeks had traces of yogurt, and her brown curls escaped the ponytail Claire had made that morning. "Strawberry, my love," Claire pronounced each syllable slowly, taking time to admire her daughter's perfect little face, the delicate features, the soft skin, and especially those eyes. Eyes that held a familiar intensity, a depth that sometimes made Claire's heart ache. The 2-bedroom apartment in a middle-class neighborhood was modest compared to the mansion she had lived in before, but it was overflowing with warmth. The light yellow walls were decorated with colorful drawings Lily had made at school, and green plants occupied every available corner, filling the space with fresh air and life. Do you think a mother's love can truly overcome the pain of betrayal? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Claire placed the strawberries on a plastic plate decorated with butterflies and sat down beside her daughter. The soft fabric of her floral dress brushed against her tanned legs. She had learned to appreciate comfortable, practical clothes, so different from the designer pieces she used to wear. "Good?" she asked, watching Lily chew with total concentration. "Good." The girl clapped her hands, sprinkling small pieces of strawberry across the table. Her chubby little hands picked up another piece, bringing it to her mouth with the seriousness of someone performing an important task. Claire laughed, a genuine sound that echoed off the walls. It was incredible how motherhood had changed even her laugh, once reserved and polite, now spontaneous and musical. She cleaned her daughter's face with a soft cloth, feeling the velvety texture of her skin. The phone rang, and Claire answered with Lily still on her lap. It was Brooke, her partner in the small digital marketing consulting company they had opened together. "Clay, we got 3 more clients today. The flower boutique wants a full campaign for Mother's Day." Brooke's enthusiastic voice came through the phone, mixing with the little sounds Lily was making while playing with the strawberry. "That's wonderful. Can we meet on Tuesday to discuss strategies?" Claire adjusted Lily on her hip, the girl playing with the floral buttons on her blouse. "Lily will be at daycare." "Perfect." "Clay, are you sure you don't want to hire a nanny? It would be easier to work." "I don't need to, Brooke. We're fine as we are." Claire looked at her daughter, who was now trying to pull a lock of her brown hair. "Lily is my priority, and we managed to balance everything." After she hung up, Claire carried Lily to the living room. The space was cozy, with a soft beige sofa, a bookshelf filled with children's books and toys organized in wicker baskets. The scent of lavender from the diffuser mixed with the natural aroma of the home, a fragrance of a true home. Lily crawled to her toy box and picked up a plush doll, a brown bear Claire had bought when she was still pregnant. The girl hugged the stuffed animal, making a sound of contentment that melted her mother's heart. "Bear," Lily murmured, pressing the doll's snout against her face. Claire sat on the plush rug next to her daughter, watching every movement with fascination. It was impressive how such a small child could have such a strong personality. Lily was determined, curious, but also affectionate and sensitive, qualities that Claire recognized, but which came mixed with other characteristics that made her swallow hard. The intensity of her gaze when Lily focused on something, the way she furrowed her brow when she was thinking, the determined way she picked up her toys. It all reminded her of someone Claire was trying to forget. The sound of rain began to beat against the window, creating a soft symphony that always calmed Lily. The girl dropped the bear and crawled to the window, placing her little hands on the cold glass. The drops drew winding paths, and the child's eyes followed each movement with fascination. "Water!" Lily tapped the window, leaving small marks on the glass. "That's right, rain!" Claire approached, smelling the fresh scent of wet earth coming through the window crack. "Want to see better?" She picked Lily up and sat in the armchair by the window. The girl settled perfectly in her arms, her warm body relaxing against Claire's chest. They stayed there, watching the rain, the rhythmic sound creating an atmosphere of absolute peace. Claire inhaled Lily's characteristic scent, a mixture of baby shampoo, powder, and that unique aroma all babies have. It was a fragrance that calmed her more than any therapy, that healed any pain from the day. "You know something, my love," Claire murmured, stroking her daughter's soft curls. "You're the best thing that ever happened in my life." Lily looked up, those dark eyes studying her mother's face with childish seriousness. Then she smiled, a toothless smile showing only 4 small pearl-white teeth. "Mommy!" The word came out as a whisper, but it carried so much love that Claire felt her eyes water. She kissed her daughter's forehead, feeling the soft, warm skin against her lips. In moments like these, Claire wondered how she had managed to live so long without knowing this kind of love. An unconditional, pure love that demanded nothing in return but care and affection. The apartment was silent, except for the sound of the rain and the rhythmic breathing of Lily, who was beginning to fall asleep. Claire continued to rock her gently, watching her daughter's eyelids grow heavy. Over the last 2 years, she had discovered a version of herself she didn't know existed. A strong, independent woman, capable of building a dignified life from scratch. She had created a successful business, raised a wonderful child, and found a genuine happiness she had never experienced. Of course, there were challenges, sleepless nights when Lily was sick, constant worry about finances, the loneliness that sometimes hit when she put her daughter to sleep and was left alone in the living room. But each difficulty had strengthened her determination. Each overcome obstacle had increased her confidence. Lily fell completely asleep, her face relaxed and angelic. Claire carefully got up and carried her to her room. The light pink walls were decorated with hand-painted clouds, and a mobile of golden stars swayed gently above the crib. She placed her daughter on the soft mattress, covering her with a cotton blanket decorated with butterflies. Lily sighed contentedly, turning on her side and hugging a small heart-shaped pillow. Back in the living room, Claire poured herself a cup of chamomile tea, the aromatic steam rising in lazy spirals. She sat on the sofa with a book, but ended up just looking out the window as the rain continued to fall. Sometimes, especially on nights like this, she allowed herself to think about what could have been different. If Lachlan had reacted differently, if he had chosen love instead of fear. But she always came to the same conclusion. Maybe things had happened exactly as they should. Lily didn't need a father who saw her as an obstacle. She deserved better than that. And Claire had discovered she was fully capable of giving her daughter all the love and structure she needed. The phone vibrated with a message from Brooke. "Clay, I saw a story about Lachlan's company in a business magazine. A multi-million-dollar merger with the Germans. Do you want me to save the magazine?" Claire typed quickly. "No need. That's not part of our lives." And it was true. Lachlan Edwards belonged to the past, a closed chapter of her story. The present was Lily sleeping in her room, their business growing, the life they had built together. She finished her tea and went to check on Lily. The girl was sleeping soundly, her lips slightly parted in a serene smile. Claire adjusted the blanket and whispered, "I didn't need him, my love, but you deserve to know who your father was." The phrase came out before she could stop it, echoing in the quiet room. It was a truth Claire carried in her heart, not for her own sake, but for Lily's. Every child had the right to know their origins, even if the father was unworthy. Claire knew that one day she would have to make a decision about that. But for now, she and Lily were fine. More than fine. They were happy, complete, and thriving. The rain had stopped, and the full moon shone through the parting clouds. Claire closed the door to Lily's room and got ready for bed, with a peaceful heart and the certainty that she had made the right choices. Somewhere in the city, Lachlan was probably celebrating his multi-million-dollar merger, surrounded by executives and expensive champagne. But here, in this cozy apartment, Claire had something infinitely more valuable, the pure and genuine love of her daughter. The downtown shopping center buzzed with the typical Saturday afternoon crowd. The aroma of cinnamon from the cookie kiosks mixed with the perfume from the cosmetic stores, creating an olfactory symphony that filled the wide, bright corridors. Claire pushed the pram slowly, watching Lily animatedly point to the displays. "Mommy, look!" Lily clapped her hands when she saw the toy store window, where giant teddy bears were doing a mechanical dance. Her dark eyes sparkled with enchantment, and her brown curls bounced with every movement of her head. Claire smiled, feeling the light fabric of her navy blue dress dance against her legs as she walked. It was rare to have a free Saturday, to go out without commitments, and she had decided to take Lily to the mall, something the girl hadn't yet experienced. "Want to see the toys up close?" Claire parked the pram in front of the window, watching her daughter's illuminated face. Lily tried to get out of the pram, stretching her little arms toward the toys. Her pink dress with a floral print swayed with her anxious movements, and her white shoes kicked the air with excitement. "Easy, princess. We can go into the store after our snack." Claire adjusted her daughter's bangs, feeling the silky texture of the strands between her fingers. They continued walking down the main corridor, Lily absorbing every detail of the new environment. The background music echoed softly, mixing with the conversations of other visitors and the distant noise of the food court. Claire stopped in front of a children's clothing store, admiring a little yellow dress in the window. Lily was growing so fast that she constantly needed new clothes. She mentally calculated the budget. The business was doing well, and she could afford to spoil her daughter once in a while. "How about this little dress, my love?" Claire pointed to the item in the window. Lily followed her mother's finger, but her gaze was distracted with something more interesting. A group of children running near the ornamental fountain that was in the center of the mall. She began to squirm in the pram, wanting to get down to explore. Claire looked around, assessing if it was safe to let Lily walk a little. The area was busy, but there was enough space for a child to play under supervision. She took her daughter out of the pram, holding her little hand firmly. "You can walk, but you have to stay close to Mommy, okay?" Lily nodded vigorously, already pulling Claire toward the fountain. Her determined little steps echoed on the marble floor, and Claire had to quicken her own pace to keep up with her daughter's enthusiasm. The fountain was a work of art in itself. Water jets danced in synchronized patterns, creating a mesmerizing spectacle. Lily stopped abruptly, her mouth agape at the aquatic display. A few drops lightly splashed, refreshing the air around them. "Water dance!" Lily exclaimed, trying to touch the jets that were out of her reach. Claire laughed, gently pulling her daughter to a safe distance. "It really does dance, doesn't it? It's beautiful." It was at that moment that she felt it. A familiar presence, an energy that made all the hairs on her arms stand on end. Her stomach involuntarily clenched, and her heart began to beat faster, as if her body recognized something her mind had not yet processed. Claire slowly lifted her eyes, scanning the crowd around the fountain, and then she saw him. Lachlan was standing about 20 yards away, near the entrance to the most expensive jewelry store in the mall. His impeccably tailored dark gray suit molded his tall, elegant silhouette, and his dark hair was perfectly styled, as always. But it was the expression on his face that chilled Claire's blood. He was watching her, and his gaze was fixed on Lily. The world seemed to slow down. The noise of the fountain, the conversations around them, the background music, everything became a distant murmur. Claire could only hear her accelerated breathing and the sound of blood pulsing in her ears. Lachlan took a step forward, then stopped. Even at a distance, she could see that he was struggling with some intense emotion. His hands were clenched into fists at his sides, and his jaw was tight in a way she knew well. It was how he looked when he was trying to maintain control. Lily, oblivious to the attention, continued playing near the fountain. She squatted down to touch the water that had pooled at the edge, wetting her fingertips and giggling at the cold sensation. "Cold." Lily showed her wet fingers to Claire, waiting for a reaction. "Yes, my love, the water is very cool," Claire replied mechanically, without taking her eyes off Lachlan. He had approached a few more steps. Now he was close enough that she could see the details of his expression, his pale face, his wide eyes, the visible rise and fall of his chest from his breathing. He looked like a man who had seen a ghost. Instinctively, Claire picked Lily up, a protective movement that made the girl protest slightly. "Mommy, I want to play." "Soon, princess. We're just..." Claire didn't finish the sentence. Lachlan was walking directly toward them now, and she realized there was no escape. His cologne reached her before he even spoke. That woody fragrance she used to adore now made her stomach churn. Lachlan stopped about 6 feet away, looking as tense as she felt. "Claire!" His voice came out hoarse, as if it hadn't been used in a long time. Lily turned her head to look at the man who had spoken to her mother. Her dark eyes studied Lachlan's face with the natural curiosity of a child, without fear or recognition. Claire felt her daughter's body relax against hers. Lily didn't know who he was. To her, he was just another stranger in the crowded mall. "Lachlan!" Claire managed to pronounce his name, even though her throat was as dry as paper. He continued to stare at Lily, and Claire could practically see the thoughts organizing in his mind. The child was about 2 years old, with brown hair and golden highlights, slightly tanned skin, and most importantly, and the eyes. Lachlan murmured, so low that Claire almost didn't hear him. Lily had the exact same eyes as him, the same dark chocolate color, the same intensity, even the same slightly almond shape. The resemblance was impossible to deny. "Mommy, who is he?" Lily asked, still watching Lachlan with childish interest. The question hit Claire like a punch to the gut. How could she explain to a 2-year-old that the man in front of her was the father who had rejected her existence before she was even born? He's no one important, my love." The words came out colder than she intended. Lachlan flinched as if he had been slapped. He gave another step forward, and Claire instinctively recoiled. "Claire, can I talk to you? We have nothing to talk about." She adjusted Lily on her hip, preparing to leave. "Please!" The word came out as a desperate plea. "Just 5 minutes!" Lily began to squirm in Claire's arms, wanting to get down to continue playing. "Mommy, water!" Claire looked around, realizing that some people had started to notice the tension between them. The last place she wanted to make a scene was in the middle of a crowded mall. "Lily wants to play in the water," Claire said coldly, "and we have other commitments." She started to walk away, but Lachlan followed her. "Claire, wait! Please! Just tell me, is she—" Lachlan began, but Claire stopped abruptly and turned to face him. The anger that had been carefully controlled for 2 years began to bubble to the surface. "She is what, Lachlan?" Her voice was low, but laced with venom. "The mistake you asked me to handle, the complication that could ruin your precious business?" Lily felt the tension in her mother's body and began to get agitated. "Mommy?" Claire took a deep breath, forcing herself to calm down for her daughter's sake. She couldn't let Lily see her mother lose control. "It's okay, princess." Claire kissed her daughter's forehead, inhaling the sweet smell of baby shampoo. "We're going home now." She turned to leave, but Lachlan's voice stopped her again. "Claire, I know I made a terrible mistake, but please give me a chance to explain." This time, Claire turned slowly, her eyes burning with contained tears. When she spoke, her voice was laden with 2 years of accumulated pain. "Explain? You want to explain how you abandoned me when I needed you most? How you treated me like a problem to be solved? How you chose money over your own daughter?" The word daughter echoed between them like thunder. Lachlan went even paler, if that was possible. Lily looked between the 2 adults, her dark eyes taking in the tension, even without understanding what was happening. She snuggled closer to Claire, seeking comfort in the familiar warmth of her mother's body. In that moment, Lachlan murmured more to himself than to Claire. "I realized that 2 years didn't erase anything. They just condemned me." His words came to Claire as a whispered confession. She could see the genuine pain in his eyes, the regret that seemed to be consuming him from within. But 2 years of raising Lily alone had hardened her heart against any sympathy for him. "You condemned yourself, Lachlan." Claire adjusted Lily on her hip, feeling the comforting weight of her daughter against her body. "And now you'll have to live with it. She began to walk away definitively, but Lachlan shouted after her, "Claire, I won't give up. I need to know the truth." Claire stopped without turning, her body trembling with contained anger. "The truth?" She looked over her shoulder, her eyes shining dangerously. "The truth is that you lost the right to ask questions the day you asked me to get rid of your daughter." And with that, she walked away, leaving Lachlan standing alone near the fountain, with the echo of her words reverberating in the air between them. As she walked quickly toward the mall exit, Claire felt her legs shaking. Lily had become quiet, as if she sensed that something important had happened. "Mommy sad?" Lily touched Claire's face with her small hand. Claire stopped and looked into her daughter's eyes, those eyes that were a perfect replica of Lachlan's. "No, my love, Mommy is fine." She forced a smile. "How about we go home and make cookies?" Lily clapped her hands, the distraction working perfectly. "Cookies!" But as she left the mall, Claire knew her life had changed irrevocably in those few minutes. Lachlan had found them, and from the determination she saw in his eyes, she knew he wouldn't simply disappear again. The question that now tormented her was what else he would be capable of doing to get the answers he was looking for. The persistent sound of the doorbell echoed through the apartment like a hammer hitting glass. Claire looked through the peephole, her stomach clenching as she saw Lachlan standing in the hallway. He looked different. His hair was slightly disheveled, his suit was wrinkled, and his eyes had dark circles that betrayed sleepless nights. "Claire, I know you're in there. Please, open the door." His voice came muffled through the wood, but it carried an urgency she had never heard before. Lily was playing in the living room with her building blocks, oblivious to the tension in the air. She had stacked the colorful pieces into a crooked tower and was now trying to balance another one on top, her tongue slightly sticking out in concentration. Claire took a deep breath, the aroma of breakfast still lingering in the kitchen. She had passed the last 3 days since the mall encounter trying to maintain a routine. But Lachlan had been constantly on her mind, like an irritating song she couldn't get out of her head. "Go away, Lachlan." Her voice came out weaker than she intended. "I won't. I can stay here all night if I have to." The determination in his voice made Claire sigh heavily. Lily looked toward the door, curious about the voices. "Mommy, who is he?" "No one important, my love. Keep playing." Claire leaned her forehead against the cold door, feeling the weight of the situation. She knew Lachlan wouldn't give up easily. It was a trait she had once admired in him, but that had now become a nightmare. "Claire, please, I just want to talk for 5 minutes." His voice was closer now, as if he were leaning against the other side of the door. "You had your chance to talk 2 years ago," Claire murmured, just loud enough for him to hear. "I know, and it was the biggest mistake of my life." His words did something strange to Claire's chest, a mix of anger and an old pain she thought she had overcome. She looked at Lily, who had managed to make a tower of 5 blocks, and was now clapping. Proud. "Look, Mommy, big!" "Very good, Princess." Claire forced a smile, but her eyes remained fixed on the door. The silence stretched for a few minutes. Claire thought that maybe Lachlan had given up, but then she heard a sound that chilled her. He had sat down on the floor in the hallway. She could hear the fabric of his suit rustling against the wall. "Lachlan, you can't stay there." "Yes, I can. It's a public hallway." His stubbornness made Claire roll her eyes. It was exactly the kind of attitude that had made him a successful businessman, but it also made him lose his family. Lily approached the door, dragging her teddy bear. "Mommy, why is man sad?" Claire looked at her daughter, confused. "How do you know he's sad?" Sad voice. Lily leaned her ear against the door, trying to hear better. It was impressive how children picked up on emotions that adults tried to hide. Claire knelt beside her daughter, inhaling the sweet scent of her freshly washed hair. "Sometimes adults get sad, my love." "Mommy sad too?" The innocent question hit Claire like an arrow. She wasn't exactly sad, but there had been something gnawing at her since the mall encounter. a feeling that a chapter she thought was closed had been forcibly reopened. "Mommy is fine," Claire kissed her daughter's forehead. "How about we watch a cartoon?" She turned on the television, putting on Lily's favorite children's channel. The girl settled on the sofa with her teddy bear, mesmerized by the colorful characters on the screen. Claire went back to the door, whispering, "Lachlan, please, just go." "I can't. Not after seeing her." "Claire, she's perfect. She's exactly as I imagined she would be." His words touched a wound that Claire tried to keep closed. During her pregnancy and Lily's first months, she had fantasized about this moment. Lachlan seeing his daughter for the first time, falling in love instantly, realizing the mistake he had made. But now that it was happening, it only brought pain. "It's too late, Lachlan. It's not. It's never too late to do the right thing. The right thing would have been to stay with me when we found out I was pregnant." Claire leaned her head against the door again, closing her eyes. She could feel his presence on the other side, like a magnetic field, pulling her in. "Claire, I know I don't deserve a second chance, but she deserves to know her father. She deserves a dad who loves her unconditionally, not someone who sees her as an inconvenience." "I don't see her that way." Lachlan's voice was filled with desperation. "When I saw her at the mall, it was like my whole world shifted. She's beautiful, Claire. She's perfect." Lily got up from the sofa, walking to the door with small, determined steps. "Mommy wanna see, man?" "No, Lily, go back to the sofa." But the girl was already touching the doorknob, curious about the voice on the other side. "Sad man like mommy when it rains." Lily's innocent observation made Claire's heart ache. The girl had noticed that sometimes, when it rained, Claire became melancholy, lost in memories. She tried to forget. "Lily, come here." But at that moment, something unexpected happened. Lily, with the natural curiosity of a 2-year-old, reached for the doorknob. Her small hands managed to turn it, and the door opened a few inches. "Lily, no!" Claire tried to close the door, but it was too late. Lachlan was kneeling in the hallway, his eyes at the same level as the girl's. When Lily appeared in the crack of the door, he froze completely. Lily looked at him with curiosity, without fear. "Hello? Hello, princess." Lachlan's voice came out as a harsh whisper, filled with emotion. Claire pulled Lily back, but the girl resisted, fascinated by the kneeling man. "Why you sad?" Lily asked. Tilting her head, Lachlan swallowed hard, his eyes glistening. "Why?" "Because I lost something very important." "What you lose?" Claire felt tears burning her eyes. Lily's innocence was exposing all her most guarded feelings. "I lost you, princess, and your mommy." Lily frowned, processing the information with a child's seriousness, trying to understand the adult world. And then, to Claire's complete shock, Lily looked at Lachlan and said the word that would change everything. "Daddy!" The world stopped. Lachlan paled so much that Claire thought he was going to faint. His hands visibly trembled, and he seemed to forget how to breathe. "Lily?" Claire whispered, horrified. But Lily continued to look at Lachlan with those dark eyes identical to his, waiting for a response. Lachlan looked at Claire, then at Lily, and finally managed to speak, his voice broken. "Yes, princess, I'm your daddy." In her innocent voice, Claire found the judgment Lachlan deserved, and in his expression, a mixture of wonder, regret, and instant love. She saw a man completely different from the one who had rejected her 2 years ago. The question that now hung in the air, unspoken, but present in all their eyes, was devastating in its simplicity. Was it possible to rebuild a family from the wreckage of so much suffering? The aroma of freshly brewed coffee, mixed with the smell of fresh paint from the drawings Lily had made that morning. Claire watched from the kitchen window as Lachlan tried to win their daughter's attention on the small playground in the building's courtyard. 3 weeks had passed since that devastating encounter at the apartment door, and Claire's life had become an emotional minefield. Lily ran between the toys, her curls bouncing with every step, while Lachlan followed her with a watchful, protective gaze. He had traded his impeccable suits for more casual clothes, dark jeans and a blue polo shirt, in an obvious attempt to seem more approachable to his daughter. But Claire could see the tension in his shoulders, the careful way he moved, as if he feared that any sudden gesture could break the fragile bond he was trying to build. "Look, Daddy, a slide!" Lily shouted from the top of the toy, her little arms stretched out toward Lachlan. The word Daddy still made Claire's stomach clench. Lily had accepted Lachlan's presence with a child's disconcerting naturalness, but for Claire, every interaction between them was like watching a play, where she knew the script by heart, and knew the ending wasn't a happy one. Lachlan approached the slide, his arms outstretched to catch Lily. "Careful, Princess. Daddy's here." Claire closed her eyes, letting the coffee grow cold in her hands. That voice, once so familiar and so loved, now carried a tenderness she had never heard. It was ironic that Lachlan had discovered his capacity for love precisely in the child he had once rejected. The phone rang, interrupting her bitter thoughts. It was Brooke. "Clay, I have to tell you something." Her partner's voice sounded tense. "I received a strange offer today. An investor wants to buy our company. They offered 3 times its market value." Claire frowned. "Who's the investor?" "A holding company I've never heard of. But when I looked them up, Clay, all the companies in their portfolio have a connection to Lachlan Edwards." Coffee spilled as the cup trembled in Claire's hands. She quickly wiped it with a cloth, the fabric absorbing the dark liquid as her mind processed the information. "He's trying to buy me." The realization came out as a venomous whisper. "It looks like it. What do you want me to do?" Claire looked out of the window again. Lachlan had Lily on his shoulders and was walking around the playground, the girl giggling and pulling his hair. The scene was so perfect, so cinematic, that it made her heart break a little more. "Refuse immediately. Are you sure? It's a lot of money, Clay." "I'm sure." Claire hung up, her hands shaking with anger. 20 minutes later, Lachlan and Lily came up to the apartment. The girl was excited, talking a mile a minute about every toy she had tested, while Lachlan listened with genuine attention. "Mommy, Daddy taught me how to make a sandcastle." Lily ran to Claire, her eyes shining with excitement. "That's so great, my love." Claire forced a smile, but her eyes met Lachlan's with a glacial hardness. Lachlan immediately noticed the change in the atmosphere. "Lily, how about you watch a cartoon while I talk to Mommy? Can it be Frozen?" Lily was already running to the sofa, eager for her favorite animated movie. "Of course, Princess." Lachlan turned on the television, settled Lily comfortably with her stuffed animals, and then followed Claire to the kitchen. She was turned away from him, preparing her daughter's snack with abrupt, controlled movements. "Claire, is something wrong?" She turned slowly, the bread knife still in her hand. "Did you really think I wouldn't find out?" Lachlan frowned, genuinely confused. "Find out what?" "The offer to buy my company." Every word came out sharp. Lachlan's expression changed instantly. Confusion gave way to embarrassment, then to defensiveness. "Claire, I can explain." "Explain?" She laughed, but there was no humor in the sound. "Explain how you're trying to buy me. How you think you can solve everything with money. It's not that." Lachlan approached, but Claire backed away, keeping her distance. "I just wanted to help. I saw how hard you work. I wanted you to have more freedom to be with Lily." "Liar." The word cut the air like a blade. "You want to control me. You want me to depend on you so you can manipulate our situation." "Claire, you're being unfair. My intention was genuine." "Your intention?" Claire placed the knife on the counter with a thud. the metallic sound echoing through the kitchen. Your intention is the same as always, Lachlan. To solve problems with money. To buy me like you'd buy any other obstacle in your life. Lachlan ran his hands through his hair, a gesture Claire recognized. He did that when he was frustrated. You're not an obstacle. You're the most important thing in my life now. Now! Claire repeated the word with bitterness. How convenient is that revelation, isn't it? After you saw that Lily exists, that she's real, that she's perfect. Claire, please, no. She raised her hand, interrupting him. You don't understand, Lachlan. You don't understand anything. I built this life alone. Every brick, every decision, every tear. And now you show up wanting to buy my work as if it were some trinket in a store? Lily appeared at the kitchen entrance, holding her teddy bear. Mommy? Why are you yelling? Claire knelt immediately, softening her voice. Sorry, my love. Mommy wasn't yelling. I was just talking. Talking loudly, Lily corrected with the ruthless logic of a child. Lachlan approached, kneeling beside Claire. Lily, sometimes adults talk loudly when they're trying to solve important things. It's not because they're fighting. Lily looked between the two, her dark eyes processing the information. You sad? No, princess. Lachlan reached out, lightly touching his daughter's hair. Daddy just wants Mommy to know he loves her very much. The words hit Claire like a punch. She stood up quickly, moving away from both of them. Lily, go finish watching your cartoon. The snack will be ready soon. The girl hesitated, clearly sensing the tension, but finally obeyed, going back to the living room. Claire waited until she was sure Lily couldn't hear them, before turning to Lachlan. How dare you? Dare to what? Say you love me in front of her. Use our daughter to manipulate me. Lachlan stood up slowly, the pain evident in his eyes. It's not manipulation, Claire. It's the truth. The truth? Claire laughed again, the sound harsh and wounded. You want to know what the truth is, Lachlan? The truth is that you loved me when it was convenient, when I didn't threaten your plans, when I was just the pretty girlfriend who showed up at your business dinners. That's not true. The moment I became real, the moment our relationship produced real consequences, you discarded me like trash. Tears finally began to fall, burning Claire's cheeks. And now, 2 years later, you decide you love me? Did you want to be a father? So convenient, Lachlan. Lachlan took a step toward her, his hands outstretched. Claire, I was a coward, an idiot. But I've changed. Changed? Claire wiped her tears away with a violent motion. The man who destroyed me 2 years ago is the exact same one who just tried to buy my company behind my back. You haven't changed at all, Lachlan. You still think you can solve everything with power and money. I just wanted to... You wanted to control me. Claire exploded. You wanted me to be dependent on you so you could dictate the terms of our relationship, so you could decide when and how to see Lily. Lachlan was silent for a long moment, his face pale. Finally, he said, You're right. Claire blinked, surprised by the admission. You're right, Lachlan repeated, his voice low and full of regret. I tried to control the situation. I tried to use money to fix something that money can't fix. It was exactly what I did 2 years ago. And it was wrong then, just as it's wrong now. Claire crossed her arms, still defensive. And what are you going to do about it? Cancel the offer immediately. Lachlan took his phone from his pocket. I'm calling my lawyer right now. He dialed a number, and Claire could hear his firm voice, giving instructions to cancel any attempt to acquire her company. When he hung up, he looked at her with a vulnerability Claire wasn't prepared to see. Claire, I know I screwed everything up. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I don't deserve a second chance. But Lily, his voice broke. Lily deserves to have a father who fights for her, a father who learns to be better. Claire watched Lachlan for a long moment. She could see the internal struggle in his eyes, the war between the man he had always been and the man he was trying to become. The man who destroyed me, she said. Finally, her voice low and tired. "Now teaches our daughter how to smile." Lachlan closed his eyes, as if her words were an absolution he hadn't expected to receive. "I don't know if I can forgive you, Lachlan," Claire continued. "I don't know if I'll ever be able to trust you again. But Lily needs a dad. And for some reason I can't understand. She's chosen you." Lachlan opened his eyes, and Claire saw tears forming there. "Don't mess this up." Her voice was a threatening whisper. "If you hurt our daughter, if you disappear from her life like you disappeared from mine, I will make you regret it for the rest of your life." "Never," Lachlan said with conviction. "I will never abandon Lily or you, no matter how long it takes. I will prove I've changed." Claire nodded slowly, exhausted by the conversation. "We'll see, Lachlan. We'll see." The expensive scent of his mother's perfume filled the air-conditioned restaurant, mixing with the smell of flowers from the imported arrangements on the marble tables. Claire nervously adjusted her navy blue dress, feeling the fine fabric against her skin as she watched the elegant woman in front of her. His mother's gray hair was impeccably styled, and her blue eyes, so different from Lachlan's, studied Claire with the coldness of a predator, evaluating its prey. "So you're the woman who got my son pregnant." His mother's voice cut through the silence like a sharp blade, each word pronounced with surgical precision. Claire took a deep breath, inhaling the lavender scent from the diffuser that tried to soothe the tension in the restaurant's private room. "I'm Claire, and you must be Mrs. Edwards." "Mrs. Edwards to you." The correction came instantly, accompanied by a frosty smile that didn't reach her eyes. "I imagine you know why I asked for this meeting." Claire crossed her legs under the table, the leather of the chair squeaking lightly with the movement. "Actually, I don't. Lachlan didn't mention you wanted to meet me." His mother laughed, a crystalline, empty sound, like the clinking of broken glasses. "My son doesn't know we're here. Lachlan has always been naive when it comes to women like you." "Women like me?" Claire felt her blood warm up, but she kept her voice controlled. "Opportunists." His mother savored the word as if it were an expensive wine. "Women who intentionally get pregnant by rich men to secure a comfortable life." The waiter approached discreetly, placing a glass of champagne in front of his mother and a natural orange juice in front of Claire. The sound of the bubbles bursting in the champagne was almost hypnotic in the tense silence that settled between them. "You're mistaken." Claire lightly touched the edge of the cold glass, feeling the condensation moisten her fingers. "I don't want anything from Lachlan. I never did." "Of course you don't." His mother took a delicate sip of champagne. "That's why you allowed him to get close to the child, out of the goodness of your heart." Claire felt anger bubbling up, but she forced herself to maintain composure. "I allowed it because Lily has the right to know her father, no matter how much I disagree with his choices." "Lily." His mother repeated the name with disdain. "A common name for a child with Edward's blood." "It's a beautiful name. It means wisdom." "Wisdom?" His mother laughed again. "How ironic, considering the circumstances of her conception." Claire clenched her fists under the table, her nails digging into her palms. The smell of food from other tables, truffles, grilled salmon, refined sauces now made her feel nauseous. "Mrs. Edwards, if you have something to say, just say it. I don't have time for games." His mother placed her glass on the table with a soft clink, but the sound echoed like a hammer. "Very well. I'll be direct. How much do you want to disappear from my son's life?" Claire blinked, sure she had heard wrong. "Excuse me, 5 million? 10. Everyone has a price, darling. What's yours?" The world seemed to tilt sideways. Claire felt the blood drain from her face, leaving her dizzy. The noise of the restaurant, low conversations, silverware clinking against plates, the background music, everything became a distant hum. "You're offering me money to abandon my daughter?" "Don't be dramatic." His mother waved her hand, her diamond ring sparkling under the chandelier light. "You can take the child. I just want you both to disappear from Lachlan's life." Claire stood up abruptly, the chair scraping against the marble floor with a harsh sound. "You're crazy!" "Sit down." His mother's voice cut through the air like a whip. "I'm not finished yet." "I am." Claire grabbed her purse, but his mother continued speaking. "Lachlan is making a mistake. This obsession with the child is affecting his business. Yesterday he canceled an important meeting because she was sick. The day before, he left in the middle of a video conference because you called." Claire stopped, turning slowly. "How do you know that?" "I know everything that happens in my son's life." His mother smiled coldly. "And I know you're being selfish. Lachlan has responsibilities. Hundreds of employees depend on him. The family company has always been more important than family itself, hasn't it?" Claire returned to the table, but didn't sit down. "Is that how you raised Lachlan?" "I protected him from a mistake that could destroy everything we built." His mother leaned forward, her blue eyes shining with a dangerous, calculating intensity. "And I'm going to protect him from you, too. Lachlan is an adult. He can make his own decisions. Lachlan is a man, and men make stupid choices when it comes to pretty women and cute children." His mother took another sip of champagne, as if she were discussing the weather. "But I think with my head, not with other parts of the body." Claire felt nauseous. "You're disgusting." "I'm practical." His mother opened her Italian leather purse and took out an envelope. 15 million in cash, tax-free. "All you have to do is sign this document, renouncing all rights over Lachlan, and agreeing not to look for him again." Claire looked at the envelope as if it were a venomous snake. "And Lily? Lachlan can visit the child sporadically at times that don't interfere with his professional commitments. You want to turn my daughter into an appointment on Lachlan's schedule. I want to protect the future of the Edwards company, and consequently, the future of the child herself. If Lachlan ruins the business because of this phase, Lily will have nothing." Claire sat down again, but only to be at the same level as his mother. "Do you want to know what I think?" "I'm listening." "I think you're scared." Claire leaned forward, her voice low and sharp. "Scared that Lachlan has finally found something more important than Mommy's approval." His mother's face tightened slightly, the first crack in her perfect facade. "Lachlan has changed since he met Lily," Claire continued, gaining confidence. "He's learning to be human. And that scares you, doesn't it? You know nothing about my son. I know he's being a father for the first time in his life, and that's transforming him into the man he always should have been." His mother hit her hand on the table, making the glasses clink. "Enough. Are you going to accept my offer, or will I have to take more drastic measures?" "Drastic measures?" Claire felt a chill down her spine. "I can make your life very difficult, darling. Your little marketing company would be a shame if it lost all its clients at once, or if the tax authorities decided to do a thorough audit." Claire stood up again, this time with iron determination. "You just made a mistake." "What mistake?" "You showed who you really are, and now I'm going to tell Lachlan exactly what kind of mother he has." His mother laughed, but there was less confidence in the sound. "Lachlan would never believe I'd do something like that. I'm his mother." "Exactly. The mother who taught him that love is conditional, that family is negotiable, that money solves everything." Claire took the envelope and tore it in half, the pieces falling like confetti onto the elegant table. "But you know what else, Mrs. Edwards? Lachlan isn't that man anymore. You're making a terrible mistake. The only mistake I made was underestimating how much you're willing to do to keep control over your son." Claire turned to leave, but stopped at the door. "But Lachlan will know everything, and when he does, he'll have to choose between the mother who has always controlled him and the daughter who is teaching him how to love." Claire left the restaurant with her heart pounding, the fresh air of the street contrasting with the suffocating atmosphere of the place she had just left. Her hands were shaking as she dialed Lachlan's number. "Claire, is something wrong?" "Lachlan, we need to talk." "Now?" "Yes." Where are you? Leaving Fasano's. Your mother called me for lunch. The silence on the other end of the line was deafening. Claire? I'm coming to get you. His voice was tense, controlled. Don't go anywhere. As she waited, Claire watched the street traffic. People walking quickly, cars passing, life happening normally. But for her, everything had changed in the last 40 minutes. The war for Lachlan's soul had just begun, and his mother had just declared that she didn't intend to lose without a fight. The question that now hammered in Claire's mind was terrifying. Would Lachlan be strong enough to face his own mother? Or was the obedient son he had always been still stronger than the father he was learning to be? 20 minutes later, when Lachlan's car pulled up in front of the restaurant, and she saw the determination in his eyes, Claire knew that the answer would define not only their future, but Lily's as well. Do you believe Lachlan will choose his new family over his mother's approval? Share your thoughts in the comments. Lachlan's office smelled of familiar leather and fine wood, but today, there was an electric tension in the air that made every piece of furniture seem like a silent witness to a battle about to erupt. His mother was sitting in the burgundy velvet armchair, her gloved hands holding a porcelain cup, with the icy elegance that had always characterized her. Lachlan paced back and forth behind the mahogany desk, his steps echoing on the marble floor like the beats of a war drum. You offered Claire money to disappear from my life. Lachlan's voice was too controlled, each word pronounced with surgical precision. His mother took a delicate sip of her tea, the aromatic steam rising in lazy spirals. I offered a practical solution to a problem that's destroying everything we've built. Lily is not a problem. Lachlan hit his hand on the desk, making the crystal picture frames tremble. She's my daughter. She is a complication. His mother placed her cup on the saucer with a soft touch, but the sound echoed like a gunshot in the tense silence. Lachlan, you've canceled 6 important meetings this month. The Germans are questioning your dedication to the business. Lachlan stopped pacing, turning to face his mother. His gray suit was wrinkled, his tie loosened. Signs of a man who had spent hours trying to process his mother's betrayal. So what? There are more important things than business, Mom. His mother laughed, a crystalline sound that cut the air like broken glass. More important? Lachlan, you have responsibilities. 200 employees depend on you, shareholders who have entrusted millions to your decisions, and my daughter also depends on me. Lachlan approached the armchair, looking at the woman who had raised him with a mixture of love and hurt. For the first time in my life, someone needs me for who I am, not for what I own. That's cheap romanticism. His mother stood up with a feline elegance, smoothing the skirt of her Chanel suit. You're in love with the idea of being a father, not the reality. Children cry, Lachlan. They get sick. They demand time, attention, sacrifices. I know that. Lachlan crossed his arms, his muscles tense under the fabric of his shirt. And I'm willing to make all the necessary sacrifices. His mother walked to the panoramic window, watching the city stretch out below. The evening lights were beginning to flicker, creating a golden mosaic against the orange sky. As your mother, it's my duty to protect you from impulsive decisions. Her voice echoed against the glass. This woman manipulated you, Lachlan. She used the child to awaken your paternal instincts. Claire is not manipulative. Lachlan approached the window, standing next to his mother. She rejected me when I tried to get close. She rejected my money, my help. Everything. A smart strategy. His mother turned to her son, her blue eyes shining with a calculated coldness. Playing hard to get always works with men like you. Lachlan felt something break inside his chest, an invisible connection that had bound him to his mother's approval for 35 years. Men like me? Men who confuse responsibility with sentimentality. His mother touched her son's arm with false affection. Lachlan, you can support the child without getting emotionally involved. Pay a generous allowance. Visit sporadically. Stop! The word came out as a low roar. Stop talking about my daughter as if she were a business commitment. His mother recoiled a step, surprised by the intensity of his reaction. Lachlan, no! Mom, now you're going to listen to me. Lachlan turned completely to face her, his chest rising and falling with rapid breaths. Lily is 2 years old and already says my name. When she sees me, her eyes light up. She trusts me completely, without questioning whether I deserve it or not. The words came out laden with an emotion his mother had never seen in her son. Lachlan continued, his voice growing firmer. When Lily is sick, nothing else matters. When she needs me, I drop everything to be with her. And do you know why? Because for the first time in my life, I understand what it means to love someone more than myself. His mother paled slightly, but maintained her upright posture. This sentimentality will pass, Lachlan. It's a phase. It's not a phase, Lachlan exploded, years of emotional repression finally finding an outlet. It's who I always should have been, a man capable of putting family before profits. Family! His mother spat the word as if it were poisonous. They're not our family, Lachlan. They're strangers who appeared in your life 2 months ago. Lily carries my blood. Claire is my daughter's mother. They are my family, yes. Lachlan walked to the desk, picking up a framed photo where he appeared next to Lily on the playground. And I'm going to protect them. His mother looked at the photo with poorly disguised disgust. Protect them from what? From people like you? The words came out low, but filled with a determination that made his mother take another step back. From people who think love is weakness, that family is negotiable. The silence that followed was broken only by the sound of the air conditioning and the distant traffic below. His mother studied her son's face, looking for signs of the obedient boy she had always controlled. Lachlan, you're throwing away everything we've built together because of a fantasy. Her voice trembled imperceptibly. The company, the respect of your partners, your social position. They can call me crazy. Lachlan walked to the office door, opening it in a clear gesture of dismissal. But this is my family. His mother remained motionless for a moment, amassed, processing the defeat. Then, with the wounded dignity of a deposed queen, she walked toward the door. You will regret this decision, Lachlan. The only thing I regret is taking so long to make it. His mother stopped in the doorway without turning around. When this romantic fantasy is over, when you realize you gave up everything for nothing, don't come asking me for help. I won't need to. Lachlan watched his mother's rigid silhouette. Because I've finally found something worth more than your approval. His mother left without looking back, her heels echoing down the corridor until they disappeared into the elevator. Lachlan closed the door and leaned against it, closing his eyes and taking a deep breath. His phone rang. Claire. Lachlan, how did it go? It was liberating. He smiled for the first time in hours. My mother just found out she doesn't control me anymore. And now? Lachlan looked out the window, watching the city lights. Somewhere, Lily was playing, laughing, being the wonderful child who had completely changed his life. Now I'm going home, to a real home. Lachlan, Claire, I know you still don't completely trust me. I know it will take time to rebuild everything I destroyed, but I just broke away from everything that was holding me to the past. Claire was silent for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was soft, almost a whisper. Lily asked if you're coming to dinner with us tonight. Lachlan felt his chest tighten with emotion. Tell her Daddy's coming home. As he tidied the desk and shut down his computer, Lachlan knew he had lost a lot in the last few minutes. His mother's approval, possibly some business deals, maybe even a part of the company. But as he drove toward the apartment where Claire and Lily were waiting, Lachlan knew he had gained something infinitely more valuable. The chance to be the man his daughter deserved as a father. I lost millions, he thought as he stopped at a traffic light. But I got my world back. The aroma of fresh roses mixed with the sweet smell of the chocolate cake Lily had insisted on helping to decorate. Claire watched from the apartment window as the morning moved slowly by. Her fingers played nervously with the hem of the cream-colored dress she had chosen for the most important day of their lives. 3 months had passed since Lachlan's confrontation with his mother, and slowly, like flowers blooming after a harsh winter, they had rebuilt something they never knew could exist. A real family. "Mommy, is Daddy coming soon?" Lily ran to Claire, her pink dress with satin bows swaying with every step. Her curls were held back by a small tiara of fake pearls, and her dark eyes shone with childish anticipation. "Almost, my love." Claire knelt down, adjusting her daughter's dress. "Daddy just went to pick up Grandma Brooke." Lily frowned in concentration. "Grandma Brooke is going to cry again." Claire laughed, remembering her partner's reaction when she heard about the marriage proposal. Brooke had cried so much she had to redo her makeup 3 times. "Maybe a little bit, but they're happy tears, princess." The doorbell rang, and Lily shot toward the door like a pink rocket. "Daddy!" Claire opened the door, and her heart still did a little flip at the sight of Lachlan. He was wearing a light gray suit that highlighted his dark eyes, and was carrying a bouquet of daisies, Claire's favorite flowers, not the expensive roses he used to buy in the past. "Princess!" Lachlan knelt down to hug Lily, who threw herself into his arms with total enthusiasm. "You look beautiful!" "You too, Daddy." Lily touched his tie with curiosity. "Is it a special day?" "The most special day of all." Lachlan looked over his daughter's head, meeting Claire's eyes. "Good morning, future wife." Claire felt her cheeks flush. Even after 3 months, she was still surprised by the genuine tenderness in his voice when he called her that. Brooke appeared behind Lachlan, her eyes already watery. "Clay, you're radiant. Thanks for agreeing to have me as your witness." Claire hugged her friend, breathing in the floral perfume Brooke always wore. "As if I would miss this after everything you've been through." Brooke discreetly wiped the corner of her eyes. Lachlan picked Lily up, watching the 2 women. "Are you ready?" "I think so." Claire grabbed her small handbag, checking if she had everything. Documents, Lily's ring, which she had insisted on carrying, a handkerchief for the inevitable tears. They went down to Lachlan's car together. Lily chattered excitedly about how she had helped choose the flowers, while Lachlan carefully settled her in the car seat. Claire watched the scene. The care with which he adjusted the seatbelts, his infinite patience with his daughter's questions, and she felt a wave of gratitude for having given that man a second chance. The civil registry was a simple building in the city center, without the ostentation Lachlan had probably imagined for his wedding years ago. But when they entered the room, decorated with simple flowers and natural light, Claire knew it was perfect. The judge was a middle-aged man with a kind smile, who knelt down to greet Lily personally. "And you must be Princess Lily. I hear you have a very important job today." Lily nodded seriously. "I'm giving the rings. An enormous responsibility." The judge winked at her. "I'm sure you'll do a great job." They stood in front of the makeshift altar. Lachlan held Claire's hand. Their fingers intertwined like 2 puzzle pieces that had finally found their place. Lily stood between them, holding the small pillow with the rings. "We are gathered here today," the judge began the ceremony. But Claire could barely concentrate on the words. She was lost in Lachlan's eyes, seeing a mixture of love, regret, and hope that made her heart ache. When it was time for the vows, Lachlan cleared his throat nervously. "Claire," he said, his voice trembling slightly. 3 years ago, I was a man who thought he knew what was important in life. I thought success was measured in money. That love was a luxury I couldn't afford to have." Lily looked up, fascinated by the seriousness in her father's voice. You offered me the greatest gift anyone could give, a family, and I, the coward and idiot that I was, rejected that gift." Lachlan swallowed hard, fighting back emotion. "But life gave me a second chance. It gave us a second chance." He looked at Lily, then back at Claire. "I promise I will never again put anything above our family. I promise to be the husband you deserve and the father our daughter needs. I promise that no matter what happens, you will always come first." Claire felt tears streaming freely down her face. When it was her turn, her voice was choked with emotion. "Lachlan, you hurt me deeply. For a long time I thought I could never forgive you. But Lily..." She looked at her daughter, who was watching everything with wide eyes. "Lily taught me that true love isn't perfect. It's strong." Lachlan squeezed her hand tighter. "You proved that people can change, that love can grow from suffering. I promise to give you the chance to be the man you want to be. I promise we will build a family based on true love, not fear." The judge smiled broadly, clearly moved. "Now, the rings." Lily stepped forward solemnly, offering Lachlan's ring to Claire first. "For Daddy!" Claire slid the golden band onto Lachlan's finger, her hands trembling slightly. When it was his turn, Lachlan held Claire's hand with an almost religious reverence. "With this ring," he repeated the judge's words, but his eyes never left Claire's. "Now I pronounce you husband and wife." The judge smiled widely. "You may kiss the bride." Lachlan leaned in, touching Claire's lips in a soft kiss, full of promises. Lily clapped enthusiastically. "Now we're a real family," she shouted, making everyone laugh. Outside the registry, Brooke insisted on taking hundreds of photos. Lily posed with professional seriousness, then ran to play in the small garden while the adults talked. "Clay, can I talk to you for a minute?" Brooke pulled Claire aside. "Of course, are you sure? After everything he did." Claire watched Lachlan playing with Lily, teaching her how to make crowns with the daisies that had fallen on the ground. "Brooke, the man who rejected me 3 years ago isn't the same one standing over there. People can change when they find something worth fighting for. And what if he goes back to who he was?" Claire smiled, watching Lachlan place a flower crown on Lily's head, who giggled with delight. "Then Lily and I will be strong enough to handle it. But I believe in him. I believe in us." They went for lunch at a small restaurant Lily had chosen, a simple place that served the best mac and cheese in the city, according to her. Throughout the meal, Lily didn't stop talking, telling all the waiters that her parents had gotten married. "Now, Daddy lives with us forever," she announced to a table of elderly people who smiled indulgently. When they got home, Lily was exhausted from all the excitement. Lachlan carried her to her room, and Claire followed, watching him help her change her clothes. "Daddy, you're going to sleep here every night now?" Lily asked, as Lachlan combed her hair. "Every night, princess, forever. And when I wake up in the morning, you'll be here? Always." Lachlan kissed his daughter's forehead. "Daddy isn't going away anymore." Lily smiled sleepily. "Good. I like it when there are 3 of us." After Lily fell asleep, Claire and Lachlan sat on the living room sofa, the comfortable silence filled only by the distant sound of traffic. "Thank you," Lachlan said suddenly. "For what?" "For giving me a second chance, for believing I could be better." Claire snuggled against him, breathing in the perfume she now associated with security and love. "Lachlan, from the cruel request to the miracle of reconciliation, love won." He hugged her tighter, kissing the top of her head. "It did. And this time, it's forever." Outside, the rain began to fall softly, creating a background music for the beginning of a new life. A life where love had triumphed over fear, where a family had been born from the ashes of pain. And in the room next door, Lily slept soundly, protected by the love of 2 parents who had finally learned that some things are worth more than any treasure in the world.